We're back with Sir Major Page of Black Lives Matter movement here in Greater Atlanta and TBS 46 law enforcement analyst Vincent Hill. We continue our discussion as we went to break. Let's pick up where we left off, and then we'll get into some of the protests that we've seen here in Atlanta and nationwide. I was trying to find some common ground here between both of these sides. Is there common ground to be found here? Let's start here.
Well, we're certainly not in a position to negotiate Black Lives. Black Lives Matter. When we affirm that, we mean it. And we're going to do whatever is required of our people to ensure that our message is quite clear. We're not going to allow media to distort our message. We're not going to let pundits come on shows and dilute and distort what we have going on. Black Lives Matter is not a, what do you call it, a domestic terrorist organizations. We're just simply saying, stop killing us. And to have these analysts on your shows, they don't even talk about that. They don't talk about it and say, hey, look, I admit that there's a problem. I want to find a solution. They don't say these stories were wrong, this story was wrong, this story was wrong, the Eric Gardner story was wrong. But yet, time and time again, we see these law enforcement analysts and these activists for law enforcement, they endorse it and they support it. They don't say this was wrong or this shooting was wrong. Like, for example, we have the APS officer that was just fired for shooting a 22-year-old guy, right? They fired him. They said, the APD said that this officer used unreasonable and excessive, they said unreasonable and excessive, right? So they fired him. Where are the criminal charges at? If they have identified that, they should have been if they want transparency and they want us to trust them, they should have arrested that guy.
GBI currently still investigating that case, still an open investigation. Is there common ground here to be found?
Well, we have to have common ground in this country because right now our country is in turmoil. You can't get any more clear than that. But let's talk about Black Lives Matter. You know when my Black Lives Matter did not matter? When I wore a blue uniform. Because I will tell you, there are blacks that I dealt with. I've dealt with my Michael Browns, my Alton Sterlings, my Tamir Rices. So if we're going to talk Black Lives Matter, it needs to matter all the time. Whether I wear a blue uniform, a white uniform, or whatever. Hold on. Now, and you said I endorse things. I've never publicly gone on the air and say I endorse anything.
We're talking about
okay, but you threw me in that group. I have never gone on the air and said I endorse anything. What I do is try to talk unbiased from a police standpoint, which is why they use the term analyst to say, hey, it looks like this, but it could be this.
And all Black Lives Matter activists, leaders, organizers, we're not anti-cop.
Okay.
So let's debunk that whole notion.
No one ever said that.
No, yes, they have said it.
I've never said that.
We didn't say you said it.
But you lumped me into that group of
are you
analysts.
Are you an analyst?
You lumped me into a group that says we endorse things.
All right.
Okay,
Now,
so not this guy, but majority of them around the world does that.
But there is common ground that needs to be found,
Absolutely.
no matter what.
But before you have common ground, you have to identify the problem, own up to it. We need a tournament.
What is the problem?
It's quite clear. Look at these cases.
We're talking Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
So
hold on.
what law enforcement can do.
Alton Sterling, Baton Rouge, Minnesota. That same week, 15 black boys were killed in Chicago by black boys. So again, if we're saying Black Lives Matter, let's not just say it's because a white officer kills a black kid. Black officers have killed white kids. So let's just
let me
put it out on the table. If Black Lives Matter, let them matter for everybody.
Absolutely.
Let it matter for everybody. There's no cell phone video gangbangers going around shooting people.
Yeah, we get that.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, right?
Let's talk about it.
Black Lives Matter. When we say Black Lives Matter, we're not saying white lives don't matter, Asian lives don't matter, green lives don't matter. When we talk about black on black crime, that is a serious problem in our community. In my chapter,
I didn't see anyone protesting those 15 deaths, though. I didn't see it.
Let me know when I can talk.
I didn't see it.
Okay, so we understand that it's a problem in the black community. No black activist, no black organizer or civil rights leader have said it's not a problem. We understand it's a problem. Crime is inevitable. We understand it will always happen, right? However, my chapter, Black Lives Matter Greater Atlanta, is committed to doing the work, to getting in the streets in our communities and challenging that. Just like we're bad on cops, when bad cops are just like we're tough on bad cops, we're tough on our own people as well. Our chapter's doing that. And we're hoping to lead the country in the right direction on that. But when you say black on black crime, we understand that Pookie go shoot Lil Ray Ray. Pookie will be arrested that night, or his, first of all, the news is going to plaster his face all over national TV.
300 shootings
Hold on,
in
let me talk.
Chicago
Let me make this point.
with 16 arrests. So how is Little Pookie getting arrested?
Listen, let me make my point.
But you just said Little Pookie would get arrested.
Little Pookie gonna get his face plastered all over CBS and all these other stations, right? They're gonna have an indictment, a warrant for his arrest. They're gonna go pick him up. He will be arrested and he will be convicted. The problem is white officers or officers in general don't get indicted. That's the issue.
They don't?
Because it's state-sanctioned violence.
Look at Freddie Gray.
It's authorized by the state.
Look at Freddie Gray.
These are police officers with guns and badges.
And you see how that case turned
Let me
out.
take this back local for a second here because the protests have been going on for 5 nights. You guys met, Mayor Reed came out and met with you along with the police chief. You guys have negotiated the ability to sit down. I believe it's Monday night.
It's a shame we should have to negotiate.
But that's happening.
Yes.
I'd like to get each of your take on Mayor Reed's handling of the protests so far. Quickly, 30 seconds.
I will say that the mayor has done a better job in allowing us to have some time, a moment to occupy some space, right? And I think that he could have made things harder if he wanted to. And so we thank the city of Atlanta. We thank the officers that were out there protecting us, those who believed in our cause and who stood back and didn't incite more than what they had to. And so
They
we
weren't
thank
protecting you because of your cause. That's their job. Just like the officers that died in Dallas.
Hold on.
It was their job.
What he's failed to realize
It
is
was
that
their job
what you failed to
to
realize,
protect and
what
serve.
you failed to realize is that we had officers
protect
shaking
and
our
serve.
hands
That's
and telling
great.
us
That's
that they
great.
support us.
That's great.
We had
But
officers telling us
they
that
weren't
they
there
support
because
us.
they support
No,
your cause.
no,
They were
obviously,
there because
obviously
that's
they had
their
a job. Absolutely, but
to
they
protect and serve.
Right.
Just
do you
like the
think-
officers
do you-
in Dallas
see,
that were shot
but
and
listen,
killed at a protest.
They
were there because that's their job to protect
Listen,
and serve.
listen,
While everyone was
this
running
isn't
from
Fox
the
News.
danger,
This isn't Fox
they
News.
ran to
This
it.
isn't Fox
I
News.
know it's not
You don't
Fox
have to talk
News.
over me.
I know it's not Fox
There were
News.
officers.
This isn't a
Don't
TV set
distort-
either.
See, he doesn't want me to say this
This
because
isn't a TV
it's
set
important.
either.
It's important to get this message out. There were members of the Atlanta police and the state troopers that shook our hands. We have video of it. They were shaking our hands and said, "We support you." They support us.
We're going to have to leave this here for the
don't
moment
want
because we
that
do
to
have
get
to
out.
take a commercial break. We'll be right back. The conversation continues.
I don't know.